Hey everyone, this is Dr. Cooper, and I want to go over a quick literary analysis of Lady Chatterley's Lover to help you get started. And this particular journal post was presented by Chelsea. So I want to show you how I'm going to take Chelsea's essay, which is actually pretty good, and evolve it into what the journal should be. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to the first paragraph, which is highlighted in pink here. This is the introductory paragraph, and Chelsea is using soaps, and I just did a few edits here. First off, the rhetorical element that she is analyzing is characterization, and she chose the dynamic character. Now, I gave you a lesson on the 7 types of characterization, and I believe, hopefully, that Chelsea got that from there. So here you can see she has dynamic character as the element. So she begins. English author D.H. Lawrence, in the beginning of his novel, Lady Chatterley's Lover, develops a dynamic character with Constance Chatterley. Okay, so she is identifying Connie as a dynamic character. Now, it helps if you understand the definition of a dynamic character. So go ahead and add the definition into your text. So here I quoted, "A dynamic or round character is a major character in a work of fiction who encounters conflict and is changed by it." So that's going to be the key element of this journal post, is that definition. Chelsea is saying that Connie is a dynamic character, and then this is what a dynamic character is, someone who is changed by a major conflict. So we can all recognize that this is happening without even reading any more. So she has to give us the purpose. So Lawrence's purpose is to show how Connie's character changes from a woman devoted to her husband to one questioning her marriage, and how it has changed her internally. Okay, so remember, we went from Connie being, this carefree and free and happy and fun-loving woman to sort of this depressed and and now I don't know what I'm going to do, and she's got this conflict and blah, 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 right? So that's Lawrence's purpose, is to show you that this character does change based on a conflict. So Lawrence uses a sympathetic tone to help justify Lady Chatterley's unfaithfulness in her marriage. So that's the change that happens. She becomes unfaithful. So Lawrence has this tone to help us sort of feel sorry for her and accept what she's done. All right, so now she's got it set up. We got a good thesis. We have a good basis. We know exactly what the rhetorical element is that she's analyzing. And now she has to prove 3 things. 1, that Connie was first one way in the story. Then 2, there's some sort of a conflict. She has to explain this internal conflict that she's having with Clifford. And then 3, that she's changed. And now she's having affairs. That's the change. So she just needs to show and represent that from the text in this body. Now, I will have to say that these 2 body paragraphs are a little long. She's got 455 words. I would say she would even need to cut this down some. We only need 300 words, so she doesn't have to have so much. But since she was doing such a good job, I left most of it in. So I'm going to start right here. Lawrence. So here's her support. Lawrence shows us that Connie's current life as Lady Chatterley differs greatly from life before marriage. Okay, so that's what happens. Dynamic characters change. So Connie led a cultured and free life for a young woman of her time. She was exposed to both art and politics, and allowed to discuss things freely and love freely. Okay, so that's before. Her husband Clifford Chatterley, and this might be the part that she could change, that she could cut out, but for now we'll just read it. Her husband Clifford Chatterley led an isolated life among his siblings and was then paralyzed from the waist down in the First World War. This causes Clifford, a shy man, to become dependent on Connie. All right, so back to Connie, and that's what this post is about. Connie is a faithful and supportive wife, right? So that's the beginning. This is the way she was. Caring for Clifford and putting his needs above her own. Connie doesn't seem to mind lack of sexual intimacy because of the intellectual connection she has with Clifford. However, now we're getting to the conflict. Soon Connie begins wanting more than Clifford can offer. Though intellectually satisfied with Clifford, Connie realizes that she wants a connection and becomes consumed by restlessness. So all of you have been writing about this internal conflict. Well, Chelsea doesn't have to write about that. We are all aware of it. You're all writing about it. We all know that there's this internal conflict happening. So she just needs to mention it. That's her restlessness that she mentions there. So in chapter 3, the dynamics of Connie's character begins to change. So she's explaining, she's analyzing here. Change from the devoted, caring housewife to a woman yearning for a connection with the world and intimacy. Connie realizes that she shut herself from the substantial and vital world. Okay, this is the first time that Lawrence gives us the idea that Connie misses her old lifestyle. Okay, so it goes back to that whole conflict again. And isn't fully happy in the world Clifford has created for them. She begins an affair. That's so different, such a change from that character that we first met in the beginning of the novel, right? We would never think that she would have an affair, but here she is. So despite her concerns for Clifford's feelings, from this point, Connie becomes more concerned with her own needs than Clifford's. Again, that's a change in her character. Before, she always put Clifford's needs ahead of her own. Externally, she still plays the role of the devoted wife, but struggles with her devotion. Okay, that's her internal conflict again. That's the catalyst for this change in this dynamic character. So one side of Connie loves and admires Clifford Chatterley, but another part of her remains empty due to the lack of intimacy. Okay, so again, that's the conflict. So all she has to do now is conclude. So you need to sum up what the main idea was and wrap it up. So Lawrence's portrayal of Lady Chatterley shows how her internal struggle with her marriage and subsequent lifestyle with Clifford has caused her character to change, which is the exact definition of a dynamic character. In fact, I think I might edit into that the word dynamic character, showing Connie as a dynamic character. All right, and then she just wraps it up. Lady Chatterley has changed as a result of living with Clifford's paralysis over time. Throughout the change, Lawrence still portrays her as a victim of marriage. She's devoted to the man, blah, blah, blah. It's a kind of a long conclusion for just a short 300 words. So I think she can really wrap this up and get it down to close to 300 words, if not 350 words, because there's a lot of repetition of the conflict and even the summing up at the end. But this is what I'm looking for in your journal post. But you don't have to do so much. This paragraph alone, if she had included everything, would have been enough. I wanted to be short and sweet. You don't have to do too much because we're doing one of these each week. So you'll have an opportunity to do more in the next post. Okay, so that's it. I just wanted to give you another heads up on how to do your literary analysis journal post. Good luck.